The neighbor Panda and I have both saved exactly 50,000 leaves. We're the same age, earn roughly the same, live in the same part of the forest. The only difference, what we plan to do with those 50,000 leaves. He wants to buy a tree and rent it out. I want to put mine into my bundle of 100 forests. We're both convinced we're making the smarter choice. The neighbor Panda buys a tree worth 250,000 leaves, using the 50,000 as a down payment and borrowing the rest from the bamboo bank, spread over 30 seasons. His monthly repayment comes to about 1,300 leaves. He immediately finds a tenant panda willing to pay 1,800 leaves a month. On paper, that's 470 leaves in profit before he's spent a single extra twig. He feels like a genius. I put the same 50,000 leaves into my bundle. No borrowed leaves, no tenant, no keys to hand over to anyone. I set up an automatic monthly deposit of 300 leaves and don't think about it again. When the neighbor Panda asks what I'm investing in, I say, a bundle of 100 forests. He nods politely and changes the subject. Nobody's impressed. On day one, he has a tree, a tenant, and a story to tell at every dinner gathering. I have a leaf of paper with a confirmation printed on it. It doesn't feel remotely the same. But feelings and math, I'm about to learn, are two very different things. The neighbor Panda is living the landlord dream. Leaves land in his account every month. He walks past his tree on the way to work and thinks, I own that. I log into my bundle once a quarter, watch the number go up a little, then down a little, then up a little more. After a year, my 50,000 leaves have grown to about 55,000. It doesn't feel like anything is happening at all. I do the real math on what's actually happening behind the neighbor Panda's numbers. He's collected roughly 64,000 leaves in rent. His repayments total about 48,000. That leaves almost 17,000, which sounds great, until you subtract the tree tax, 3,000 a year, storm insurance, 1,500 a year, a broken water pot for 1,200, a leaking roof for 2,800, and a full month of vacancy that cost him 1,800 in lost rent, plus 600 for cleaning afterward. After everything, his real profit over 3 seasons is somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000 leaves, not the 17,000 that looked so good on paper. And that doesn't count a single hour of his own time. I've deposited a total of 60,800 leaves. At an average 10% yearly growth, my bundle now sits at roughly 76,000. 0 hours of work, 0 phone calls, 0 emergencies. The neighbor Panda is deep in landlord reality now. Third tenant, a new roof for 8,500, a burst pipe for 1,400, another month of vacancy. He's raised the rent to $19.50, which helps, but his taxes and insurance have gone up too. His real return, what he actually keeps relative to what he put in, hovers around 3 to 5%, not the 15 to 20% he bragged about at the barbecue. I continue doing, quite literally, nothing. My bundle has grown to somewhere between 135 and 150,000, including my monthly deposits. I didn't pick a single stock. I didn't time the market. I just didn't touch it. The growth is starting to accelerate. The gains on my gains now generate more new wealth each year than my original deposits did. The neighbor Panda's tree is now worth roughly 335 to 350,000 leaves. His remaining debt sits at about 166,000. That puts his equity at approximately 170 to 184,000. After subtracting every real cost, interest, taxes, insurance, repairs, vacancy, he's put in an extra 20 to 35,000 leaves out of his own pocket beyond the original down payment. My bundle sits at about 165 to 180,000. Total deposits, 86,000, 50,000 at the start, 36,000 spread over the years. The rest is pure growth. And I haven't spent a single weekend fixing anything. We're surprisingly close in total wealth. The neighbor Panda is slightly ahead thanks to the borrowed leaves working for him, but he's also poured hundreds of hours into that one tree, taken on serious debt, and concentrated his entire investment in a single tree, in a single patch of forest. I'm spread across 1,000 different forests and haven't lost a single night's sleep over my bundle. The neighbor panda's tree is now worth 450 to 500,000 leaves. His debt is nearly paid off. His equity sits between 400 and 500,000. After 20 years of maintenance, repairs, tenant turnover, taxes, insurance, and at least one major renovation, his actual net profit from the rental itself is somewhere around 40 to 80,000 leaves above what he put in. My bundle sits at roughly 420 to 460,000, with total deposits of 122,000 over 20 years. The rest, over 300,000 leaves, is pure growth. No debt, no tenants, no calls at 2 in the morning about a burst pipe. We land in roughly the same range, somewhere between 400 and 500,000 leaves, each of us. But how we got there couldn't be more different. The neighbor panda worked for his wealth. I waited for mine. He had stress, risk, everything riding on one bet, and little ability to get his money out quickly. I had ups and downs, but access to my money any time, and freedom. I asked the old panda what would have happened if I'd simply increased my monthly deposit by 200 leaves to 500 instead of 300. He runs the numbers quickly. My bundle would sit at roughly 550 to 600,000 after 20 years. With a bundle, every extra deposit multiplies through growth itself. With a tree, investing more usually means buying another tree, taking on more debt, more work. He rightly reminds me that my bundle carries its own risks. In one bad year, the whole forest once dropped 37%. In another, 34% within a few weeks. Had I had 150,000 and watched it become 95,000 almost overnight, that wouldn't have been a number on a leaf. That would have been gut-wrenching. Most pandas, he points out, sell in exactly those moments out of panic, and buy back in only after the recovery, locking in losses at the worst possible time. My bundle doesn't send me a monthly leaf check the way his tenant does. There are small payouts, but on 150,000 leaves, that's maybe 200 a month, nowhere near replacing real income. And he had a kind of leverage the whole time that I never did. With 50,000 leaves, he controlled a tree worth 250,000. With my 50,000, I only ever controlled exactly 50,000 leaves worth. That's exactly why rented trees create more millionaires than bundles do, in survey after survey. I remind him of the tree tax he gets to deduct from his taxes, the so-called theoretical loss in value of the tree, even while it's actually rising in worth. A clever tax trick my bundle can never use. The old panda sorts it out for both of us. A rented tree wins when the rent is strong enough relative to the purchase price, when you treat it like a real business instead of a side project. Screen tenants carefully, budget for major repairs, and build systems instead of improvising. A panda who lives in one part of the tree and rents out the rest can bring his own living costs close to zero, something no bundle can ever do. A bundle wins when you want peace of mind, when you don't want to sacrifice hours to repairs and tenant headaches, when you want your wealth spread across 1,000 forests instead of one single tree, and when you'd rather increase your monthly deposit than buy a second, third, or fourth tree. The old panda still sits in his cave on the hillside, calm as ever. I ask him one last time who made the smarter choice, the neighbor panda or me. He shakes his head. Wrong question, he says. You both made your choice back then without ever running the full numbers. In leaves, in hours, in stress, over 20 years. The real trap was never the tree, and it was never the bundle. The real trap is picking either one just because another panda by the river got excited about it, without ever sitting down to work out what it actually means for your own life. I think about the neighbor panda with his tree, the repairs, the tenants, the sleepless nights over broken pipes. I think about my own bundle, quietly growing while I slept. Both paths brought us to a similar place in the end. Only the roads there could hardly have looked more different.